Welcome back to the Badass Literature Society, where badasses come together to rate and review novels recommended by you. Hi, I'm Michael.
This is Barbara.
And I'm Lauren.
This month we read A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, and it was recommended to us by Lauren and I's mom. Hi, Mom, if you're listening. First, a little bit about the author. Deborah Harkness is a #1 New York Times bestselling author who draws on her expertise as a historian of science, medicine, and the history of the book to create rich narratives steeped in magical realism, historical curiosity, and deeply human questions about what it is that makes us who we are. The first book in Harkness's beloved All Souls series, A Discovery of Witches, was an instant New York Times bestseller, and the series has since expanded with the addition of subsequent New York Times bestsellers, Shadow of Night, The Book of Life, and Time's Convert, as well as the companion reader, The World of All Souls. The All Souls series has also been translated now into 38 languages. Barbara, you want to tell us a little bit about the book itself?
Sure, this was originally published on February 8th of 2011. The genre is considered fantasy, romance, and paranormal. Depending on the copy that you own, it has 592 pages. Currently has a 4.0 on Goodreads, 4.5 on Amazon, and a 4 on Fable. It's nominated for the Goodreads Choice Award for Paranormal Fantasy and for Favorite Book and for Goodreads Author in 2011. It won the Skiba Award for Fiction. Not sure if it's pronounced Skiba or SCIBA. And we think it's important for readers to know what, if any, representation is in the books we read. So for this book, there are supporting BIPOC characters, main supporting LGBTQ plus characters, and main and supporting characters with disabilities.
All right, and Lauren, how about a little synopsis of A Discovery of Witches?
Deep in the stacks of Oxford's Bodleian Library, young scholar Diana Bishop unwittingly calls up a bewitched alchemical manuscript in the course of her research. Descended from an old and distinguished line of witches, Diana wants nothing to do with sorcery, so after a furtive glance and a few notes, she banishes the book to the stacks. But her discovery sets a fantastical underworld stirring, and a horde of demons, witches, and vampires soon descends upon the library. Diana has stumbled upon a coveted treasure lost for centuries, and she is the only creature who can break its spell. Debut novelist Deborah Harkness has crafted a mesmerizing and addictive read, equal parts history and magic, romance, and suspense. Diana is a bold heroine who meets her equal in vampire geneticist Matthew Clairmont and gradually warms up to him as their alliance deepens into an intimacy that violates age old taboos. This smart, sophisticated story harks back to the novels of Anne Rice, but it is as contemporary and sensual as the Twilight series with an extra serving of historical realism.
So, what did you think about A Discovery of Witches? And remember, no spoilers.
So I enjoyed the beginning of it, really struggled in the middle, and then enjoyed the last fourth. Would you say it would be like fourth of the book, or maybe even, I don't know, the last part of the
More
book?
than that, I think like the final third of the book, probably.
Yeah. I was not a fan of the romance between the two main characters. And obviously, we'll get into that a little bit later on. I thought there were some problematic things about it. But what I really enjoyed was the world that she built and how all of the three main creatures kind of worked around in this world. And I thought it was interesting how I wouldn't say it's not like a different take on the vampires, demons, and witches, because like I feel like there's only so much new things you can do about that to add your own flavor to it. But it is different in like other, monster books that I have read. And I enjoyed reading about how she had these monsters being her world. So I would say overall I enjoyed the world. I think my issue was the two main characters where I was not a huge fan of them, and that's kind of where it dragged for me.
So I really enjoyed parts of the book. I have similar feelings to Barbara though, and I'll say up front, I'm grateful that this was a podcast book because there's probably some universe where it wasn't, and I just picked this up or someone recommended it and I didn't finish it. I really enjoyed the beginning. Similar to what Barbara said, the world she built is really cool. The different supernatural forces in that world are really interesting. I didn't really like the main character. The middle third of the book are it's all about her romance and slow burn relationship with this vampire, and it's not for me anyway. It was not very exciting, but I'm glad I pushed through it because the end of the book, like Barbara was saying, the final third was incredible. So yeah, overall, I would say I liked it, but there was a decent chunk in the middle that was not so good.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I enjoyed it overall. I enjoyed, even though some of like the plot devices were a little tropey, like I still enjoyed the plot. I still enjoyed the world building. I still enjoyed the characters, even though I didn't always agree with the way that some of the things went down, which we'll talk about later. But I will say it was definitely like a slow burn. It took me quite a while of like, oh, like I've got to listen, like I've got to get. It was kind of like one of those up until the halfway point almost for me. I was like, I got to get through this for the podcast versus like looking forward to turning it on. And then I think once I hit about 45% maybe, then I was like, okay, now like I want to listen to figure out what happens kind of thing. Which, like Michael said, generally speaking, if this wasn't one that I quote unquote like have to finish for either my book club or the podcast, I probably would have DNF'd it. So I'm obviously glad that I did finish it because I enjoyed it. But if I were to recommend it, I would have to give that caveat for sure.
Okay. So obviously not going to go into our individual ratings at this point. Got to wait till the end for that. But our group score for this book was a 7 out of 10. So would you recommend this book? This was a tough one. I think my honest answer is probably no. Not because I didn't like the book, but because I would have trouble recommending a book that I myself would have probably DNF'd if I didn't have to finish it for the podcast. So while it is an interesting world and it does have some really cool stories and aspects to it, because of that, I don't think I can wholeheartedly recommend this book.
I feel like I said, I would recommend it with the caveat, like just if I were to tell somebody about it, I'd just say, hey, hang in there for the first, however much it gets better kind of thing. I don't think that makes it for me at least not recommend it or makes it not recommendable because I feel like there have been quite a few books that I actually really am glad that I read / enjoyed that I hated the first third of. So you just never know. Plus, there's 3 books, so like it could even continue to get better from here.
Better, yeah. I feel like this is because it's from 2011. This was a romantasy before romantasy really was a thing and like blew up and is like a whole thing. I guess it's not like a pure high fantasy novel, but obviously it does have fantasy elements to it because of the whole supernatural witches and demons and vampires trope part of it. So I would feel like for people who like romantasies, I would recommend it for them because I feel like this is your bread and butter in the sense that it's a very well written book. Like, I'm not going to discredit that aspect of it. Like, you can tell that she knows what she's talking about when it comes to history and like the medical aspect of it and all of that. And that was a really interesting aspect for me. Sometimes I felt like it was a little too much, and I was like, okay, like I don't care, let's move along, But like you can tell. So I feel like in that sense, I think it's well written. It's not one of these, and I'm going to bash some of these romantasy other books out there, which I think are subpar at best. This I don't wouldn't consider that. So I feel like for people who enjoy that, I think you really should check out this book. I think you would really enjoy it. The only problem is for people who only read books for the quote unquote spicy level, you're going to be disappointed in this one because that's not what this is about. If that's what you're looking for, I would not pick this one up.
Look
But
elsewhere.
I think, huh?
If that's what you're looking for, look elsewhere.
Yes, exactly. Like there's literally books tailored for you for that, and like, you would not be disappointed in those, and like good. I'm not trying to be like, oh, you shouldn't read that. No, you can read whatever you want. Like there's books for you for that. This is not one of those. But I really do think if you actually do enjoy the romantasy aspects of books that are well written, that aren't problematic, I feel like this is one that you probably should actually check out because I think it is very well written. Like I didn't have any issues with the way this was written. So there's problematic tropes in it, but like that's so stereotypical in these types of books. I feel like you would be one of those people who would have no issues with that. So I would only recommend it for those people. I don't think anyone who's just looking for a high fantasy novel would enjoy this one that much.
But I don't think it's advertised as high fantasy either, is it?
No, it's not.
It's paranormal fantasy.
Paranormal, which I guess is because of the
It's
vampire?
just like the witches, vampires, paranormal stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's why it's paranormal, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be kind of paranormal urban fantasy since it takes place in the modern world.
I would say urban fantasy, 100%.
I mean, I think like the preview that I just read, like they kind of tied it up like it's the historical realism piece, because I appreciated, we can talk about this later too, but just like the how much history was kind of weaved in there. And then also like you said, Barbara, she clearly like did research to know about like the medical stuff, the historical stuff, like all of the different aspects, which I feel like you don't always get with these kind of tropes.
No, not at all, actually.
No, I mean the accurate history was one of my favorite parts. I would shout that part out also. Anywho, for those of you leaving us at this point, don't forget to give us a rating if you like us. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram. Our handle is at Badass Lit Pod. We'd love to hear from you. If you've got a book you want us to read in a future episode, let us know. Now, for a short preview of our next episode. Next month, we'll be reading Lost Girls of Hollow Lake by Rebecca Fabian.
I'm so excited for this one. And for those of you that do follow us, you might have heard us talk about this one on our bonus episode for looking forward to in 2026. So this one did just come out. I don't know that I have a date for you, but
it was in January.
It was recent. It was like January, February. So
yeah,
it's new. Like all right, here's the preview. After a group of teens visits a dangerous island where 3 are left behind, the surviving girls realize they must return to confront the sinister force hunting them. This dark YA thriller is perfect for fans of Yellow Jackets. 8 were lost, 5 were found. None will ever be free. For Evie Williams, life is about to get a lot more complicated. Haunted by the events of a school trip to Hollow Lake National Park that went disastrously wrong, Evie and her friends returned changed, their lives forever marked by the mysterious island they encountered and the 3 girls they left behind. Now, someone is picking off those who were involved one by one. Their families, friends, and even online investigators are all caught in a deadly game. The stakes are raised when Evie receives a chilling something. To save her loved ones, she must return to the island. As Evie and the other lost girls navigate the treacherous terrain of the island once more, they must confront the secrets they've buried, the horrors they've witnessed, and the person or thing that's hunting them. But some secrets refuse to stay hidden, and the island demands a price for freedom.
I'm so excited for this.
Me too. It reminds me of, gosh, what are those movies that, like, nobody gets to live? If they dodged like the natural disaster. And then it like comes for you, like
Final Destination.
Yes.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, I mean, it may be nothing like that, but it reminds me of like, oh, you got out unscathed that time, and now we're gonna like pick you up.
Right, like death is coming for you. They just skipped a little. Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely gives me Yellow Jacket vibes, and I freaking love that show. So, like, obviously,
I didn't see Yellow Jacket, so now.
Oh, girl, you need to. It's so good. You need to watch it. It's so good. I mean, I like it, so
I'll have to watch it. I'm excited for this one, so hopefully you'll join us.
Yeah, it sounds good. Also, I checked because I was like, oh no, did I like mess up copying and pasting this? Nope. The word after chilling is missing on Goodreads as well, which is where I always get the synopsis of these books.
I've noticed that Goodreads sometimes on the synopses is missing a word, because I've done that before, and I'm like, there's a missing word here.
It just adds to the mystery. We're not sure what. Evie receives a chilling something.
Chilling something. Who knows? Remember, the second part of this episode is going to be an in-depth look at a discovery of witches. So if you do want to read it, stop listening now and come back when you're done. My bulky blender was such a pain to use, I ended up hardly ever using it at all. But the BlendJet 2 portable blender makes blending so easy and convenient, I use it just about every day. BlendJet 2 is portable, so you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita at the beach. It's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease. BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking up the whole house. It lasts for 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB-C. Best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. Just blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go. With over 30 plus colors and patterns to choose from, there's a BlendJet 2 to complement just about any style.
I rock the ruby metallic print myself because I'm clearly a certified badass. What are you waiting for? Go to blendjet.com and grab yours today, and be sure to use the promo code BADALitPod12. That's BADALitPod12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to the quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to blendjet.com and use the code BADALitPod12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today and get the best deal ever.
Now, for those of you sticking around for the spoilers, here we go. We'll start off like we always do and figure out who gets the Badass Character Award. Barbara, who is your nominee?
Okay, so I don't think this has ever happened where I honestly don't think anyone deserves the award personally. Like, I really cannot, I can't pick someone. And so I went the funny route. I thought I was funny, but my sense of humor is kind of niche. But I said Juliet, and if you've read the book, you know who that is. And the reason why I picked her is because she tried her hardest to kill the two mains, and by golly, she got so close.
I snort laughed reading that, so I had to disagree.
Because I was like sitting here and I was like, Michael, I really like, no offense to the main girl, because obviously she's our, main character, but Diana bothered me so badly. And I'm not a fan of Matthew either, because he's slightly problematic. So I'm like, well, I guess Julia, because she tried getting rid of the two people I had a problem with. And I loved, was it a tropey aspect of the book? Like some random person just shows up to try to murder them, and it turned into a whole thing. I was in I enjoyed that scene because I was like, finally, some stuff is happening.
Yeah, I was gonna pick Diana, and then I saw that, I was like, yeah, I gotta give it to her.
Not that I want them to die. Exactly.
Well, so I guess de facto, Juliet's gonna get it. My nominee was Sarah for this. I thought Sarah was a badass witch who was very powerful, and I thought it was the scenes where she did use her magic were really cool. So even Matthew, the all-powerful vampire, was impressed by some of her magic. So
I really enjoyed the non-main, like I really liked Marcus and Miriam. Like loved Miriam. I liked Sarah and Emmy, and then Sophie and Nathaniel, Hamish, his mom Isabeau. Like I loved all of them. Like they were all so much more interesting.
I was going to say Baldwin if I was going to go with the joke option. He was also a badass in his own right.
Yeah. Problematic brother, kind of problematic.
I think he'll probably play a bigger role. Oh, 100%. In the future books. Yeah. Anywho, speaking of characters, let's talk about them. Barbara, I'm going to let you talk about your all-time favorite character in any book of all time. Diana.
Why would you do that? Okay, so Diana is our main character, and we actually get, I would say, probably 96% of the book is in first person, her point of view. So we are pretty much with her for the most part of the book. She is a witch who doesn't want to be a witch, and you kind of find out it really wasn't her choice, like her parents to save her so she didn't get murdered, like wrapped up her power so she couldn't use it. It's this whole thing. But yeah, she's the main character. She is a professor of alchemy of sorts, and it's funny, I started out really liking her character, and then when Matthew got introduced, I slowly started liking her less and less and less, because I feel like her identity got wrapped up in his, and I feel like that's to me, I don't enjoy that trope. I don't like that she went from this type of a character who was so like self-reliant to I feel like someone who's not. And once again, that's not a problem. It's just I didn't like the way that her story was told. I feel like she was like a strong character without having to add like I would literally die for you, even though I just met you 2 weeks trope. And that's my biggest issue with her. Her powers looked really cool. Like obviously she's like a witch that literally has every possible power in the universe that are allowed to have as a witch. So I thought that was really cool, and I would love to see more of that. But we didn't really get too much of that in this book in particular. So that's her.
Yeah, I think she's got like all the powers. To be honest, it's kind of what it sounded like.
Yeah, like all
Now
the
that they've
cool, like she literally
removed
is
the.
like the avatar of this world.
All right, I'll take the next character, which is Matthew, the other main character. Matthew is a vampire. He is also the love interest of our main character, Diana. I didn't totally hate Matthew's character. I thought he was interesting. I also thought it was kind of funny. So a lot of the vampires in this world have like absurdly long names. So Matthew Clairmont is his like name that he goes by to sound normal, but his full name is Matthew Gabriel Philippe Bertrand Sebastian de Clairmont. Whoa, lots of names. But it's also because he's like over 1,000 years old or something. So he was an interesting character. I thought that his inclusion in the book was interesting. He's a geneticist. He's a scientist. He obviously has a lot of historical knowledge as well, just from being alive for all this time. He's the leader of a secret society, the Knights of what was the Knights of? Does anybody remember the group that he's
It's not the Templars.
No, the Templars like this group absorbed the
Yeah.
Templars. I can't remember the name. It's okay.
Um,
It's a secret order of knights that's existed forever. He is a big fan of wine and has lots of very rare, very old wine that he drinks. Apparently, in this version of vampires, vampires be loving blood and wine.
well, because I
Um,
think it's like it helps with the hunger, right? Like they're
I think
like
it
they
helps
also
with the
eat
cravings.
nuts too, or something like that. I don't know. I didn't quite
Yeah,
understand that fully, but yeah.
but anyway, that's a little bit about Matthew. He's a really interesting character. We don't learn we learn things about him, but you kind of, as the book progresses, it's like, and another thing, surprise, and another thing,
Yep.
surprise. And I still feel like at the end of this first book, like
We know nothing about
realistically,
him.
if you think about how long this guy's been alive, we don't know
Yeah.
anything about him.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Still so many secrets to be potentially uncovered in future books. I wish I could remember the order because the order that he's the leader of was actually a real order of knights. Like I remember looking
Oh,
that
is
up.
it real? I
Yeah,
thought that
it
part was
was
like
it was
fake.
real.
Huh.
Almost all the historical references in the book are
Mhm.
real historical references, which
Hmm.
makes sense learning afterwards that Deborah Harkness is a historian. So
Yeah. So is the Ash Mole an actual book?
that part I don't know. I did not look
Ah,
that up to see if that
gotcha,
was
gotcha,
real or
gotcha.
not. All right, our next character is Sarah. Barbara, you want to tell us about Sarah?
Sarah is Diana's aunt on her mother's side. She's her only living relative outside of all like the dead ghosts in their house. She is a renowned witch, but like their whole line is like really like powerful witches and stuff. And I believe her specialty is healing. And so that whole scene of her like healing Diana was really neat. Like I really enjoyed reading about that and how the healing process worked for them. She's a very headstrong character. I enjoyed her. She was fun to read about, and I wish we had more about her, but alas, she's not one of the main main characters. But yeah, that's who Sarah is.
Okay, our next character is Emily. And I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed. I looked on the author because the author has a character list on her own website. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
that'll be great, little refresher. All that's under Emily is partner of Sarah, also a witch.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that's all you get, dear listeners. Partner of Sarah. Also, no, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Um,
we need to tell the story of who you thought she was because it made me cackle.
fine. So I did not realize that Emily and Sarah were in a romantic relationship. I thought
They
that
were literal
Emily. No,
roommates.
it's not. So hold on. I did not think that they were roommates. I thought that Emily, until later in the book when it's mentioned that Emily's family was like, you shouldn't tie yourself to this other family, it's going to be the death of you. That was when I realized that Emily wasn't like another relation of Diana's. I thought that they were relatives that lived together in this family house. And so, yes,
But
Barbara thought that was hilarious.
you still did. No. But the best part is, even after reading that part, he still didn't pick up that they were partners. He thought they were just like friend, like she was a family friend and
Yep,
living.
yep, totally did. Totally did.
Because he's like, is there any LGBTQ plus characters in this? I was like, you're joking, right? Like, that's a joke. He's like, no. And I'm like, oh, honey.
Definitely did not pick up on their romantic relationship. But I will say that Emily is more than just the partner of Sarah and also a witch. Deborah Harkness, you need to update your character profile. That's not really fair. She was a really interesting character. She's also a very powerful witch from a different powerful witch family. She is also a lot of times the voice of reason in the house, because I don't know if it runs in the family, but Sarah and Diana can be very hot-headed and emotional.
Yes.
And Emily, more often than not, when they were getting all worked up, would be the one that would step in and like kind of be the voice of calm and the voice of reason to get things back on track. I actually enjoyed her character. So I genuinely was a little bit upset when I saw that on the author's website that she's been relegated to just partner of Sarah and witch.
Her powers were like premonition-esque, right? Like she seemed to have that type of powers, because they would always like, oh, like
Yeah.
Emmy was her nickname. She's like, oh, Emmy, like, did you see this? Did you foresee this type thing? So
Yeah.
I think that was
her
her
whole shtick was scrying and visions.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep. Because she was also, it was mentioned, she was the one that would like check in on Diana when she was working at the university, and that would be through the scrying power which she has.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see, who's next for you, Barbara? Marcus.
Marcus is Matthew's son in the sense of like he sired him. So if you're not familiar with vampire lore, he created him. Like he turned him into a vampire. Like they're not like he didn't birth him type thing. Like he's not. It's hard to say like he literally isn't like his blood, because I feel like in vampire lore, like you feed them your blood and then it's your blood. I don't know. It's a whole thing, right? So like he is his little vampire person that he created, and he is pretty much like a little son to him. Like they have a very much father-son relationship. He was a doctor when he was a human, I believe, and he still practices medicine in a way that vampires, I guess, can practice that. But like obviously he's also I think him and Miriam and Matthew are all what's Matthew like? They study genes, right? I think
Geneticist.
all three of them are that, because I like all three
they all
of them
pretty extensive medical training.
Yeah, like all three of them are studying. I think all three of the creature or the supernaturals, like history and how they came about and like why they're here and how they're created and all of this stuff. I believe that the three of them are studying that. He has a bigger role towards the end when Matthew and Diana need to leave, and he becomes the head of the secret order that Michael was talking about, for Matthew when Michael has to, I don't know, run away in the past type thing. So that's a little bit about Marcus. I thought it was kind of weird when Diana's like, oh, my son. I'm like, girl, you just met him. But okay, go off, queen. But yes, that's Marcus.
Let's see. Our next character is Yizbao. She is Matthew's ancient, formidable mother and the matriarch of their family. She is, really, I probably should have given her the badass character award in my nomination, because holy cow, is this woman powerful. She is a truly ancient vampire. Matthew is like 1,000, maybe a little over 1,000 years old, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It's implied that Yizbao is like at least twice as old as that, maybe even older. Like I don't think we actually get her actual age.
We don't, yeah.
But she's only described as ancient, which gives you some idea. So I thought she was a really interesting character. There were a couple of I wanted to mention this about Marcus. There was a funny jab at one point that she had, because he is a physician, and they made a joke. She made a joke about how he wasn't a very good physician during the Revolutionary War, which is when Matthew met him and sired him, but apparently he wasn't a very good doctor at that time. But Yzma she's a very cool character. I thought
Mhm.
personally of the clan of the vampires, I thought she was very interesting. She's very protective of Matthew. She was initially very against him having anything to do with Diana because of the whole.
Well, we come to find out why, because it's
Yeah,
illegal for them to
correct.
have a relationship.
And we'll talk more about the whole family dynamic thing later, but that is a little bit about her. And our final character, Barbara, is Miriam.
Yeah, Miriam, like I sort of mentioned her earlier, she's the third one with Matthew and Marcus. We don't get too much about her. Like, I don't believe Matthew sired her.
No,
I believe she's older than Matthew. Actually, that seemed to be implied. She I'm not really sure how she like met Matthew and Marcus and how she like joined up with them and decided to study all this stuff. It's not really like we don't get too much of her, which is unfortunate because I really liked her character. Like she's very blunt, very straight to the point, kind of a no nonsense of a person. She's not a huge fan of Diana, but once again I believe it's all because of like the implications of what it means for her and Matthew to be together, and she clearly cares for Matthew like in like a friendship way. We do learn that when Matthew falls in love with apparently humans or people of non vampiric supernatural
people that are
abilities,
weak
people
and breakable.
right. He likes that's what's so freaking like I feel like if I was Diana and someone told me he likes weak women, I'd be like, "Excuse me?" like okay. But regardless, last time this happened, her partner died. He took the blame for Matthew and perished in Matthew's behalf. He was also part of the order. I think she's part of the order, the secret order as well. And she is a very I would say she's a better healer than Marcus is because when I think it was Diana was almost dying, she's the one who kind of patched her up. So I really liked her character. I wanted more of her, so I'll be curious to know if we'll get more of her. And she's like at the very end, they create this whole little like conclave of people, and she's one of the vampires in that.
And our last character is not really a character, but more just kind of highlighting that this book has a lot of other side characters as well that we're not going to talk about in this section that are either part of the conventicle, which is their group that's going against the
Conclave,
congregation,
or
conclave,
yeah, I think it's
congregation.
conclave, congregation. Yeah.
There's the members of the congregation. There's other antagonists as well. This book is clearly setting up what's meant to be a trilogy of books, and so there are a lot of other characters you only get little tidbits of that you're probably going to learn more about later. And so we may talk about some of them later in the questions, but just highlighting here that there are a lot of other characters that we didn't include in this list.
Which were
Moving into our
the sorry, because we talked about vampire because these are all literally vampires or witches,
yes,
and the other three are demons.
yes, which is the third supernatural race that they talk about
Right.
in this book.
Yeah.
Moving into our discussion questions, I also wanted to call out that some of these questions are actually discussion questions that were provided by the author on her website. Some of them are not; they're ones that we came up with, but others are directly from the author. So, moving to our first one, Diana's mother says that fear is the strongest force on Earth. What does she mean, and do you agree with that?
I don't know how to answer that because I do not agree with her. I don't believe that fear is the strongest force on earth. So if one of you guys have a better insight on this, I don't maybe it's like the driving force of humans being, or I guess I don't even know because these things aren't humans, but like uh, it's what makes the world go round. I'm not really sure, or if she was just saying that to like appease her daughter who had, I don't know. I honestly, I don't agree with her. I don't see how that's true personally. So I'm starting off real strong with this one.
So, I think that what she means is that, I mean, fear is a very strong force and motivator for humans. Fear is the instinct behind like fight or flight. Fear is what allows a mother to lift a vehicle off of someone to
I
save
don't
their
think it's
child.
fear though. I think
It
that's
is.
love.
It's
It's
fear
not.
of
It's
what's
love.
going to happen if they can't
It's
do it. I think
it's
the
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 love for
more
your child, not the fear for your child, I feel like.
the love is sure there, but I think the love is the cause of the fear. The fear is I agree with that. The fear is a
Hmm.
I don't know about the strongest force on earth, but it is a very strong force.
Well, she said the strongest, Michael.
She did.
That wasn't the question of is it up to our top 3? Because if I
I
would say
explained.
yes, it probably is
I
there on
answered the
top
question.
3.
I answered the question, which is I explained what I think she means, and I don't agree that it's the strongest force on earth, but it is up there.
You would say alcohol is the strongest force on
Sure, alcohol then heroin.
earth. Perfect. Well, what about cocaine?
Cocaine doesn't make the list. I feel like I can understand what Michael's saying too. And I also think that love and fear become intertwined when you have kids. So it's hard to like separate those in like the car situation. Cause yeah, you're like, because you love your kids so much, you're terrified that something's going to happen to them. And so then the fear drives, but it's also driven by love. So I don't know. They're kind of similar. I disagree that it's the strongest though. I would say top 3. I think people use fear. I think fear is one of the more powerful forces on earth that gets used against people to like manipulate, and whether it be politically or religiously or otherwise, fear is a huge um motivator slash like, so I guess maybe that's what she's referring to.
Yeah, I can see that. I just feel like if you are governed by fear, I feel like that's unfortunate because you shouldn't look at the world through that lens. Because I feel like that's a lot of what we have an issue with in the world is people are looking through it in a fear aspect and not in something else, you know. But
I
regardless,
100% agree. It shouldn't be such a driving factor.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
unfortunately.
Moving on to our second question. Witches have magic and vampires have immortality. Demons have genius and madness. Do you think the book treats demons as equals, or are they a secondary plot device? I think they're a secondary plot device in this book. They are there isn't what I would call a main character that is a demon. I was kind of hoping initially we'd get when the demons were and Hamish was first. That's the first demon that we made. It's a friend of Matthew's. I was hoping when Hamish was introduced that he would be the third main character. Like it would be, we'd have like a main character from each of these supernatural groups, but we don't. And because of that, I'm sticking with that they are a secondary plot device. But you know, maybe they'll be bigger in other books. Who knows? But in this book that we read and that we're talking about, absolutely a secondary plot device and absolutely not treated equally if we're comparing them with witches and to vampires.
I feel like that I would agree. I think that I wish we would have gotten more info on them in this book, but it might be setting it up to like Michael said, maybe be for future books. I did like how the question was worded. It's like, oh, witches have magic and vampires have immortality, but demons are genius. Like genius and madness. But yeah, I think that they're used more as a secondary plot device, at least in this first book.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. They're definitely secondary plot device. We don't get a lot of them. I'm hoping we get more about them in other books because we get quite a bit of like vampires and witches for the whole, but like Michael mentioned, there's no main character of the demon. That we get Hamish a little bit in the beginning with Matthew, and then he doesn't pop back up until at the very end. And then we get Nathaniel and Sophie that are demons as well, towards the end as well. And they're going to be, I'm assuming, maybe bigger characters in future books because it's, this book is setting up for the next two. I'm curious about the whole genius and madness because like we get that in the book and they mention that quite often when they're talking about demons. I'm curious to know like where the madness aspect of it is because like the few that we talk to, like there's that one particular demon that Diana meets at the very beginning, which happens to be, I believe, Sophie's Nathaniel's mom, right? I think it's Nathaniel's mom. And like she's like, oh, she kind of has like crazy eyes, but I guess I don't understand what they meant by is it like the whole like, like to be so smart you kind of have to be a little crazy, a little out there because of how your thinking is that what they mean that they have madness? Because I didn't really pick up on that. Did I miss something?
I think it's partially that, and I think that it was also mentioned at one point when she was first describing demons that because of their genius, they're at like a kind of like a tipping point that could like tip into madness, and it was part of their
But like, what does that look
supernatural.
like? Like, are we talking about them like
We don't know.
seeing
She never.
seeing so
We don't
much
know.
of the future that they're like it kind of drives them crazy, or like they are just what we think is compared normal? They're just so above that other people find them crazy, but like they're really not type thing.
And because they're a secondary plot device in this book, we don't know.
We don't know. Okay, so I'm not the only one who didn't like get that.
No,
Okay, okay, okay.
you're absolutely not.
Because like if you see like that lady a little bit was a little like she was like, oh, what the heck? But then like you meet Nathaniel, Sophie, and Hamish, and to me they looked completely normal. Like I didn't see anything crazy about like if we get about talking about crazy, like Juliet was the crazy one. Like
Right.
Homegirl was all over the place, So yeah, I don't know.
As a fun aside, I was trying to. I've got Deborah Harkness' website pulled up here, and I was trying to get to as one of the demon characters to see, and I actually clicked on the wrong thing. She has a whole list, a part of her website that's called Matthew Clairmont's Wine Cellar, and it's a list of all of his wine that is mentioned in the various books, and so apparently all of that is real. All of the wine that is mentioned that he drinks is real wine, which is interesting. All right, moving on to our next question. The law forbids interspecies mingling to quote unquote protect them. Is the congregation a necessary evil for survival or purely an instrument of segregation?
I felt like it was more segregation. It probably stems from a place of survival, but I feel like it's ultimately just driven by kind of like the fear associated with, oh, like if we, what could happen if the interspecies mingling, like, I don't know how much, I don't know if it's like straight up like, would that be considered racist in like are they not really races?
They are
They are
effectively
racist.
racist.
Okay.
Yeah, I would consider that.
So I don't
Racism.
necessarily think that it's like that type of segregation because of that. I think it's more fear based and or maybe even to control.
I think it's 100% segregation. I think people fear what they don't know or can't control. I do think it's that because it's the fear of the unknown. Like if we were to allow the interspecies mingling, then like you're bringing these hybrids essentially into existence. And if you've read any type of literature or seen any type of show that has vampires or supernatural beings, this is kind of a normal trope where it's like hybrids are, because they kind of get the best of both worlds, and then they tend to like bridge the gap of like, oh, you don't necessarily need blood to survive, you could use this, and it's like kind of mixes with the other thing they're mashed together with. And so it's one of those things where it's like we don't know what this is, we don't know what this means for our society as a whole, and because we're trying to protect our society from like the humans, then we need to keep you guys segregated. But yeah, I think it's segregation. It's not like a necessary evil for survival, because I always find it funny because like yes, in every type of supernatural book that I read, not necessarily like show, but I would say book that I've read, it's always like these supernatural things have to hide the fact that they're living with humans. And it's like, if you think about it, like you can annihilate humans so easily. Why are we hiding from them? But like I get it's the whole like they outnumber them like 50-1, and technically for vampires they are their sole like source of food technically, so you don't want to like kill them off type thing. But I always found that so interesting. It's like, we are superior races, but we must hide from the humans, you know? I always thought,
Did
kind of
they feed
giggle.
off of animals though, or no?
So in this book, because I know every book is different, in this book, I believe what they say is yes, they can feed off of animals because they do. Obviously, we saw them do it, but human blood will always be better for them. So if you
Like better,
remember,
or like they like it
more
better?
sustenance for
Or
them.
sustenance. That's right.
Yeah. So like if you
Notice
remember,
that's
like
where,
when Matthew was hunting and when Matthew was hunting and stuff, he was hunting animals with Diana, but when he
right.
almost dies and needs to like recoup all that blood that he lost, she mentions that he had fed on a human because she could tell the difference in like the
That's right.
what he looked like type thing. So I
I
feel
remember
like in theory, yes, you can, or they can in this book, survive on just animals, but like if they had a preference, they're going to do human blood because it's more sustenance to them. So it would be like eating
that. Yeah.
just rice versus eating
Steak.
like chicken or steak.
Yeah.
Like it's a better protein. Like it's protein versus like a carb, you know? Like protein's going to last longer versus a carb that burns quicker in your body. Is how I took it.
Yeah, I think that's a common like trope, because I feel
It
like
is.
even in Twilight, maybe, which is
Correct.
not the standard, but like they can survive on
Mhm.
animals,
Well,
but
yeah,
then
that's the
like
whole point of the Cullens. Like they're
right.
vegetarians, as they call themselves.
Vegetarian.
'Cause they don't survive on human blood.
So I feel like you guys have already kind of nailed this question, but I'll provide my insights as well. I think it's segregation. I don't think it's a necessary evil. I think that if it's not segregation, then it's also not a necessary evil, because I think that the congregation is afraid of what a hybrid might be. They're afraid of a hybrid monster that they can't control, and they, like all politicians, they like being in control. So I think that's where we're at with that. Anyway, moving on to our next question. Why do you think why do you think the Ashmole 782 only revealed itself to Diana? Does it respond to her bloodline or her specific academic intent?
I'm assuming it's the bloodline, and I feel like towards the end, that's kind of what it seems like, right? Like, unless I misread that. Speaking of Ashmole 782, I will be very curious to know how this book has anything to do with the overall plot, because technically it is the overall plot. Like it's the driving force of like why Matthew even got in touch with Diana, like why Diana's having all these issues, and apparently like it's tied to all three of the races, because I believe, if not mistaken, it's the book that literally talks about like how they're created and why they're created. Maybe not why, but like how they're created. And like the vampires want it because they're slowly dying off because they're not making as many little vampires. The witches want it because they think it's their book, and I don't know, blah blah blah. And I'll be honest, I think the demons are just kind of there. So like, but like if I'm not mistaken, at the end they said like there were 3 pages missing, and each page probably went out to one of the types of supernaturals. Like Diana got the witch part of the little book or the page, and I believe Sophie had the second page, right? Like she gave her the second page, so now we're just missing the vampires page, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay. So I'll be very curious to know like what comes of this whole part of the novel. I do think it's the whole like destiny foretold esque thing. Like Diana was destined to be able to like open this book, and she's tied to it, and I think it's due to her bloodline. So I'll be curious if like Sophie's bloodline can also open it, or the whoever the vampire has the third missing piece, like if it's only their 3 bloodline that can do it, or if it's literally a specific person, like just Diana, just the demon who had the page, just the vampire who had the page. I don't think I picked up on that. I could be wrong though.
So I actually disagree with you, Barbara. I don't think it has anything to do with bloodline. I think that it is intent. I think that it's looking for in Diana's case, it wasn't like an evil intent. There wasn't like a I want to learn about the origins of vampires so that I can destroy all the vampires. So I think that it is more related to her innocent intent in researching this to figure out like I think it's kind of like the it's kind of alluded to this a little bit when it talks about Matthew's obsession with like Darwin and Darwin's origin of species. I think this Ashmole 782 is the supernatural origin of species in a sense. So I think it is more about her intent than her bloodline. But
So you think it's kind of like, what is it, Harry Potter, where in the Philosopher's Stone, because he didn't want the stone, he got the stone, versus Voldy, who wanted the stone and
exactly,
couldn't get the stone,
That
like
was what
that
I
type of
thought.
exactly,
thinking?
exactly.
I see. So I guess
Because
my
it's like the document can tell that she doesn't want it for nefarious
right,
purposes. So
right.
because she doesn't want it for nefarious purposes, it's going to allow her to interpret it.
I see. I thought when you meant specific academic intent, I thought you meant like because she's a researcher, that's why. Not because like she literally is just looking at it as a alchemy. Like I thought you meant like because she's a teacher, she can therefore open the book.
So what I meant by that is that it's because her intent with it is purely academic.
Right. That
It's
makes more
not
sense.
it's not that, she doesn't have a nefarious thing. And I think that maybe this manuscript can like detect how you has
Mm,
some magic with it that can detect how you
sure.
feel about
Sure,
like your
sure.
reasons and it reads your mind and then based on that it lets you see it or not.
Would you say then maybe it's both? Because I feel like very much the book was saying that like destiny, like she was foretold to have this. Like she is that person in the little book. So therefore she can open it.
I mean, I think maybe
Hmm.
because it obviously it's talking about her destiny, and in that sense, like she's also like the most powerful witch in existence, and she doesn't want to be, and so that kind of plays into the whole like she gets the power because she doesn't want the power thing.
Okay, fair, fair.
I like that interpretation better. I think like the yeah, because with like the sorcerer's stone or the philosopher's stone or whatever you want to call it, the it was part bloodline and part the fact that he didn't want it,
Right.
or wasn't going to do elbow with it kind of thing. So I assumed it was her bloodline just because so many of the other witches and other like magical creatures around could not access it. But I had not thought about the fact that maybe they couldn't access it because of their intent either.
Mm-hmm.
So
I didn't think about that too until Michael brought it up. I was like,
snaps for
oh,
Michael.
well.
Okay, moving on to our next question. Diana spends the first half of the book actively rejecting her heritage. I wish Barbara was answering this question first. Does her sudden embrace of power feel earned, or is it purely a reaction to Matthew's influence?
I mean, I can if you want.
I'll just quickly answer it for myself. It doesn't feel earned in the sense that it's not like she has this realization about herself where she's like, oh my gosh, I need to embrace my heritage and embrace my power. I think that it feels earned in the sense that, like we were just talking about, like Diana doesn't want to be powerful for the sake of being powerful. So she has earned these powers in the sense that she gets these powers because it's almost like there's like a recognition that she'll be responsible with them, if that makes sense. But I also think that most of what she does from when she meets Matthew on is like a yes, daddy, I'll do whatever you want. Anything you say, I'll do it. She goes from like and this is one of my biggest problems with this book is that Diana goes from like this independent boss bitch
You,
character.
you're literally parroting what I said very early.
Am I?
Yeah, because that's what I said. I was like, my issue is she goes from a super independent woman to, oh, it's whatever you want me to
Yes.
do.
Yes. That's what
Mm,
happened. And
yeah.
it bothered me that she went from like this like headstrong, like I'm gonna go my own way to like I'll do anything you say, Matthew.
Yeah.
So that's my answer.
Do we think it's all of her own volition though, or do we think she's susceptible to the same types of like tropey vampire charm? You know, like how they like in other vampire things like that the people that they kind of woo don't really even have control. Like, do you think
Like
there's an
the
element?
lure that they
Yeah,
have, like this
like is there
power
an
over
element
them.
of the fact that like she's just like taken with him so much because of his magic, or just because she's
I
I
mean,
don't
so
know.
it's mentioned in the book because, like, when she's getting all like effed up by that other witch lady who was like, Matthew lied to you and you fed on his blood, and she's like, no, I didn't, and she's like, haha, do you remember these things? And she's like, oh no, yes, I did. That whole problem that arose. She does mention like, hey, like when you feed off their blood, they kind of have control over you. So, and then she's all like, oh my gosh, was this all a lie? And then she quickly goes, nah, good, I'm good, I still love him. So, like, I don't know, hard
Right.
to say.
Makes you wonder how
Yeah.
much of it is, but I mean, I answered this one just in the sense that I feel like he drives a lot of her personality in the latter half of the book. So I think her embrace of power was more to do with like that relationship than maybe her own volition of like just self discovery wanting to like do that. I think it was more like he said jump and she said how high kind of thing. But I don't know how much of it is like she's just like voluntarily, or if it's you know a magical influence at at work. I don't know. If there was a magical influence at work, it makes it slightly less cringy. Let's just say that.
I feel like it makes it even more problematic though.
Problematic 100%, but less
But less
cringy for me
cringy,
to not like
yes, because
her.
it's like it wasn't of her own volition, but then it makes
Right.
Matthew like, I don't want them to end up together because that means he's literally gaslighting her. So it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
can't really. I personally can't root for someone like that, but I feel like I'm in the minority there. I I think it's purely a reaction to Matthew's influence, and I'm gonna literally say exactly what I wrote here. Homegirl doesn't do anything for herself when she meets him. Like she really doesn't. And this is the beginning of the issues that I have with the book and their relationship as a whole. Because I love vampires, I love supernatural. What I don't like is this whole, because I'm dating a vampire, there's no such thing, by the way, with alpha and beta and omega. That is not a thing. That study has actually been proven wrong. So it's not a thing, but like, gosh, do we love to use it as a freaking trope when it comes to like vampires and werewolves specifically? Is like, oh, well, Matthew is the head boss man and this little vampire, like, and so you have to listen to what he says, and like he's, you like, oh god, even in the, like, his mom's, it, like, defers to him, like, bitch, you made him, like, what is happening here, like, you, last I checked in the vampire hierarchy, if you sire someone, you're the one who's the head, not his ass, like, what is happening? But anyways, yeah, no, 100%, it's due to him, and it bothers me because it's like I feel like part of the issue is it's not like that she was actively rejecting her heritage, because we actually learned that she's been using magic this whole time. She just wasn't aware that she was doing it. It's
Or
the
she was
fact.
doing it by accident. It was like
Right,
she
right. She
like
was accidentally doing it. Like, she wasn't aware that she was doing all of this stuff. And Matthew's like, actually, I just watched you pull a book down without doing, like, it's magic. Like, you wish for it, that shit came to you. So it's like, oh, whoops. I don't think, I feel like we learned that she wasn't actually actively rejecting it on purpose. Her parents tied up her power so she couldn't use it because she is so powerful, and they were afraid that the witches that are after her powers were going to kill her because of it. And so her parents, thinking this is the only way they could save her, is to pretty much lock up her powers so she couldn't use them. And so it's like, and pretty much gave her like PTSD for using it. And so after learning that, it's like, oh, okay, like she wasn't actively being like, no, no, I don't want to do it. Like, it was implanted in her to do that. But like, the problem is she didn't want to learn magic for herself. It came from the part of Matthew being like, you need to learn this because like you need to protect yourself, and you need to learn how to do all this because of A, B, and C. And then she's like, oh, okay. It didn't come from her being like, hey, now that I learned that, in fact, it was my parents that locked up my powers, I actually want to learn how to do this. In fact, I feel like she still kind of begrudgingly was like, man, I don't want to, until homeboy almost dies. And then she's like, the only way I can protect him is if I learn to use my powers. And it's like, that's the only one? Not anything else? Like, what happened to, like, I don't know, self-preservation? Like, you don't care to help yourself out? It's because he's in trouble? Okay. But, you know, I digress.
Listeners, as you can tell, Barbara has no feelings about this.
I have very strong opinions. Very strong.
Let's move on to our next one that she'll probably have just as many feelings about. Matthew is protective to the point of being overbearing. Is their relationship romantic, or does it lean into problematic territory regarding consent and autonomy?
I feel like it's problematic 100%. I think she doesn't have a sense of self, which we've already discussed, outside of him by the end of the book. I understand that this is a popular trope. Like, it's very shadow daddy tropey, like, and that's
Shadow daddy. I love that.
That's like a full, like,
it's a thing. It's a genre, right?
Girlies, like the smut girlies, the very smut girly, like all of that. It's a thing. People enjoy it. People enjoy even like the consent and autonomy things, which is weird. That'll never do it for me, but it does for a lot of people. So I'm probably in the minority when it comes to like book talk people anyway. So yeah, I understand it's a popular trope. It does not do it for me. It probably never will. I like to have females have their own autonomy and their own personalities, and then kind of their partner, whether male, female, or otherwise, like, is complementary to that and not like, I don't know, the source, I guess. So yeah,
I obviously, if it hasn't been apparent, I find this type of a relationship super problematic. I don't find this romantic at all, but I also understand. I'm not, am I in the minority? I'm not really sure, but obviously there is this trope and this genre of novels or shows, or like whatever you want to say, like, it's a thing. Like, people actively are searching and reading these. I'm gonna stick strictly to just like books, since that's what we're talking about. So, like, it's a thing. Like, there is a genre for these types of relationships, and I'm not trying to discredit people who like that. Like, that's your thing. I just find it super problematic if you can't distinguish between what reality is and what fantasy is. Because, like, if you like reading that stuff, I find that's fine. I think where the issue is, where it bleeds into your real life and you find yourself in this type of relationship, and I don't care who you are, I don't find that healthy, personally. And like Lauren mentioned, it's not even a issue with man versus woman. Like, if it's two guys, two women, two theys, thems, like, you should not have that type of relationship, personally, I think. So I don't like reading about it. I don't think it's sexy when he's being overbearing and quote unquote protective, because I don't find that protective. And so once, I think that's probably the biggest issue I had with this part of the book, because it's like when we go back to his home, he really starts acting this way. Like, it's like he let his red flag fly at this point, and he was like, you need to listen to me. I'm the alpha in the house, and so what I say goes, and literally everyone else in his family is telling her that she has to listen to him. And like, even like Michael mentions, like, his mom is like, oh, Matthew always liked, what does she say? Not broken things.
Fragile
things. Like, he's always liked fragile things. Like, that means he likes you because you're fragile. And what does that say about
before he got hurt to her?
Right. And then it's funny because later he's all like, oh, you're so stronger than I am. And it's like, do you actually believe that? Because it doesn't seem like you do. You know, like, you can say whatever you want, but your actions are proving it quite quite differently. But so yeah, I think that's a problem, because I don't think anyone should have complete and utter power over anyone else, regardless of the relationship.
Well, and I think that there's a clear distinction that at least I want to make, that
Mm-hmm.
there can be a healthy relationship where sexually, like, that's what they're
Oh,
into, but
100%.
like they have full autonomy in their actual life. That is healthy. What we're saying isn't healthy is like if that's
Right.
actually how the whole
Right. I'm
relationship
not talking, like, I'm not trying to sex shame anyone. Like, if that's that in the bed, like in the bedroom, that's you. Like, that is the
right.
whole thing. I understand that. I am not trying to shame anyone in that aspect. I think, once again, once it bleeds into normal life, if it goes in and then, like, you want to eat a piece of apple, this person slaps you in the face and goes, nah, you're gonna have celery instead. Like,
Right.
no, that's where we have a problem. Like, it's, and I feel, obviously he didn't do that, but he was 100% asserting his dominance over her at
And
certain
just
points.
overbearing it. He was like overbearing in all the categories. It wasn't like
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
this is just a kink. Like this is he's like, that's their whole relationship, which
Right.
problematic.
Right. Because he's like, you need to you need to listen to me, blah blah blah. So that's what I'm talking about. Like Laura mentioned, I am not talking about in the bedroom, because, like, go off, people. Like, you do you. I genuinely love that for you. That's not what we're discussing here. Because actually, in the bedroom, he's very passive.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to make that distinction so we don't get some internet hate of like,
Oh,
oh,
yes,
women
yes.
can be bondage to. It's like, yeah, do your
No,
thing.
but it's funny because, like, I feel like BDSM, like, I'm totally gonna get in a tangent here, but it's fine. It's my podcast. I can do what I want. Like, it's, if you're actually in the BDSM community, like, they have such strong, like, consent boundaries that you wouldn't, because that's the whole point. Like, you have to communicate if you're gonna do that kind of stuff. Like, that's the whole point, so it's not like people, I think that was, like, the whole issue that a lot of people, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the BDSM community had when these kind of books started sprouting out, that they were getting a bad rep because they're like, where's the consent in these stuff? That's not how this is,
Right. Yeah.
this is how it goes down. So,
Yes.
anywho, tangent done.
Michael, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Michael, thoughts?
I have nothing to add to this one, actually. I think you guys have hammered out the answers to this question. I have nothing to add, so we can move on to the next question. Most of this book is told from Diana's perspective, yet a few chapters are written in third person. Why? What feature or purpose unites those chapters?
So, the third person perspective that we get is of Matthew. And if I'm not mistaken, it's like roughly maybe 5 or 6 chapters. It's not a lot of chapters, but I actually wish we would have gotten more of these third person chapters, and not necessarily just from his point of view. I kind of wish we would have gotten it from, like, other characters, but I feel like if that's the case, it would have made a already kind of congested, I feel like a congested story even more so. So I understand why we didn't. I think it's just to kind of bridge that gap of what is happening outside of Diana at times. Especially, like, in the beginning, it was kind of like when he's, like, breaking into her, I don't know if it's her office or her living quarters. I think it's her living quarters that he breaks
Yeah,
into.
it's definitely, there's a bed. That's like where she's.
Yeah, so it's her living quarters. Once again, problematic, but that tends to be a trope for vampires. They just kind of go where they please, and then yet they're the ones in this book that have a problem with people doing that to them. So it's kind of ironic, if you ask me, but here we are. So so I feel like it's just kind of bridging a gap of the story, because obviously we as readers know what's going on with Matthew, but, like, Diana doesn't know that these things are happening. Especially, I think the most poignant part, thank you, yeah, that this chapter that we get to see that is when Diana is getting tortured by that other witch. We get what's happening with Matthew and how he's, like, desperately trying to find her, and then kind of like his relationship, because that's where his brother comes in, Baldwin. And so we kind of see, like, that going on, because if we just had her point of view, you would just be like, she's conked out, and then magically there he is, and it's kind of like, well, how did we get here? And I feel like it's done well. I kind of just wished we had more of it. Because no offense to Diana, once again, like I mentioned, I was like towards the end, I was not a fan of reading her point of view.
Yep, kind of right there with you on that. I really enjoyed the third person chapters. I think that like I think Barbara mentioned, a lot of this book came out in 2011, and the first person perspective was definitely much more popular at that time. But I think that I might have liked this book better if it was more in third person and less in Diana's, or if it was even, let's just keep it in first person, but from multiple perspectives, would have been different. So I enjoyed the third person chapters. I thought that added a really unique perspective to the book and the story, and I could have done with more of them. So
Well, somehow I didn't even clock this with the audiobook. My
That's
brain
funny.
just like, I don't know. I can't really analyze it too much because I think it was just fluid enough with the audiobook that I wasn't really paying that much attention to which chapters were.
That's funny. I
Lauren's
mean,
toughest question was like, "What third
I
person
didn't want to say,
chapters?"
wait, what?
does
But also
does that
half
mean
the
she
time,
did a good enough job where you didn't even notice then?
I
Like,
think
is
I
that
didn't notice. But I think also half the time when I'm listening, like I've got kids in the background and like
mm.
so yeah, that's one thing. Anyway, I guess we'll take a pass on this one.
Right. Next question. In chapter 31, Diana remembers the bedtime story her mother told her as a child. In what ways does that story foreshadow the events of Diana's life?
I felt like it was entirely foreshadowing. There wasn't a lot left to the imagination, but that's just my take.
Yeah, it's literally her mom telling her exactly what's going to happen to her. like if you paid attention to the story, and obviously like we only got bits and parts of it because God forbid we learn more about the foreshadowing because it's right there on the page. You know, as an author, I feel like that would be kind of crappy if you're like, and this is what's going to happen. So, but yeah, essentially her mom, I guess, pretty much knew, I wouldn't say like ingrained details, but like overall outline story plot was going to happen to her. And if I'm not mistaken, she mentions the Shadow Man, I think is what he's called. And it's like, you just have to wait for your man for your little knight in shining armor. And I just like, oh, great, so happy for you.
Barbara totally rolled her eyes when she read that story. I just know it. I don't have anything else to add. It's exactly what happens to her. It is 100% foreshadowing. It was an interesting way to look at it from Diana's perspective, to kind of from a first person thing, have her have that aha moment at the same time that the reader does, as she's thinking back about that bedtime story that she was told. So that part of it was kind of interesting.
As a side note, though, and a parent of girls, well, now and a boy, but I do appreciate that movies and storylines are shifting from the knight in shining armor, like you have to have, like this is your destiny is to get saved by the prince or whatever, to like other plots.
Right.
That's a
Like
nice.
you yourself can save yourself.
Right.
And
Yes.
you do not need a prince. Yeah.
You do not
Yeah,
have to wait on Prince Charming or whatever the hell you.
exactly.
I'm sorry. Anyway.
All right, next question. Harkness presents the use of witchcraft not only as an otherworldly ability, but also as a part of everyday life. For example, Diana uses a spell to fix her washing machine. Which example of the novel's blending of the magical with the mundane did you find most entertaining or creative? And if you could use magic in your daily life, what would you use it for?
So I'm not sure, like, did I find it entertaining? Like, yes, the little tidbits that we did get. Was it creative? I don't think she's the first one to mention this, that witches have these powers. Like I don't think this is a novel idea. Like that kind of tends to be a thing because it's like that's the best I feel like yes, controlling the weather and like fire and water and wind, like in theory sounds amazing, but like if I'm just thinking of like me, myself, and I, and like what would make me happy was be like doing all the mundane tasks of life. Like I snap my finger or say a couple of words and I have food in my face, like, or someone's cleaning for me and I don't have to do that, so then I can do other stuff that I would actually want to do, or like fixing things. If you think about it, that would be great. Like I'm saving time in that regard. Like, yes, I would love to fly. Are you kidding me? That would be amazing. Like, do I want to shoot a fiery bow and arrow at some asshole? Of course. But like in a day-to-day life, like these little things would be great. I don't find like the little that we got of it was cool to see, especially when she's like, I want butter, and the butter just like smacks her in the face and is like, here you are, bitch. And it's like, that's great. Like, that would be amazing, you know? So, like, it was entertaining in that regard. Creative, I don't really find it. It wasn't, like I said, a novel idea, but not to discredit her. It was fun to see.
I've got to follow that. So yes, I mean, I found it was in some of these books, you always see them using magic just for like the epic stuff, right? And so it was cool to see the use of magic for, like the question said, the more mundane. I'm also with Barbara. I would absolutely be using my magic to do my laundry and clean my house and cook fantastic meals. I'd just be, for D&D reference, I'd be casting Unseen Servant all the time and have it just do whatever my bidding was. So yeah, 100%.
Agreed. I enjoyed it. If I could use magic in daily life, I would never do dishes or laundry ever again. I would. I enjoy cooking, so I would still want to cook some, but like on nights that I didn't feel like cooking, I wouldn't have to cook. Cleaning, my house would be so clean. I would also, I could benefit from a snack bitch for my kids in the car. You say that on here. Like the little, I need a snack. I need you to open this. I need my toy, mom.
You would just have someone there who can open packages for your children.
Yeah, either that or like I could just magically, just like,
here's your dang gummy bear. Shut up. Right? Like I said, smacking them in the face. Like the butter was amazing.
It would just fall in their laps, and then I would have to like put my shoulder out of its socket trying to
while driving.
While driving. Yeah, there's lots of practical uses I can think of.
All right, so our next question is going to be interesting. So this is a question, I'll just say before I ask it, that was provided by the author, and that's why I picked it. I picked it because I didn't fully understand the meaning, and I was hoping one of you two did. But I'm looking, and your answers are both like, I don't know what this means. So maybe we could talk about it together and figure it out. If you look at the last page of the book, what is the significance of the blood and mercury? What is the reason behind the sense of relief felt in the house? And what does the last sentence of the book mean? Which, hold on, if you give me just a moment, I will read the last sentence for you. And here is the last sentence of the book. What we've always done, Joanna, Bridget replied. Remember the past and await the future. Mm-hmm. What does it mean? I don't know. I literally said I put this in here because I thought you guys maybe would have understood the semblance of this, and I didn't. I didn't get it.
Remember the past and wait for the future. I mean, that's pretty like self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I mean, I think the reason for the relief is that Diana and Matthew are able to escape back in time. But do either of you understand the significance of the blood and mercury that was talked about there? No,
it's alchemical properties, and it's like I haven't studied this crap for like years. That's the problem, because like they mention like to create like silver and gold or something. Like I remember silver and gold being mentioned, mercury being mentioned, like the whole like alchemical stuff that they were talking about. That's the problem. Like when I read this, I think 3 times when like I saw that, and I was still like, I am so lost. I have no idea.
I've got an idea.
Google.
Thanks, internet. In alchemy, mercury and blood are considered highly potent, dual-natured substances representing the spiritual and physical components of transformation.
There we go.
Often used to create the elixir of life or the philosopher's stone.
I was going to mention that, but I thought I was off base and I didn't want to sound stupid.
You weren't. You were right on it, Barbara. You nailed it. You would have nailed it. Mercury is viewed as the spirit or formless principle, while blood is often equated with the soul, red life force, or sulfur.
So obviously they're talking about Diana and Matthew, right? Like he's the blood and she's the mercury is what I was taken away from it. And like I mentioned, like it's the alchemy aspect of it, because I have read quite a few stuff about the philosopher's stone and that whole thing, and he's a real person. What's his name? Nicholas Flamel, and that whole aspect of it. I've always found that very intriguing. Like, it goes way
Same.
over my little head. It's not like I'm like, oh my gosh, I understand. I just enjoy it. I think it's
Fascinating.
such an interesting. Yeah, it's fascinating. um, but yeah, like that's what I was assuming, but I wasn't like whole. Plus, to the overall plot, like, is it just I don't know, like what transformation? It's like, is there? Are we talking about their future children? Like, I'm assuming that's the case. Who's to know?
Probably.
Yeah.
Laura, did you have anything else to add on that topic?
No, it sounds like Barbara nailed
No.
it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Let's do our final question. Those of you looking at the notes are like, what are you talking about, Michael? There's 2 questions left. I'm going to make them 1 question. So, what did you think of the ending? And do you think you'll read the next books in this series?
I felt like the ending was fine. I think it closed enough loops to be satisfying while leaving enough open to make you want to read the next one in general. I would be curious to see what happens next, but like it's not jumping to the top of my TBR. Like I got a lot of books that I want to read, and like this one, I'm adding it to my TBR. Like I may finish the series eventually, but it's not like it wasn't like something that the type of cliffhanger that I'm like, I gotta know like right now what happens next. So
Yeah, I think it wrapped up the ending. I think it wrapped up some of the questions we had, but obviously gave us like more questions than answers because it's a trilogy. So if you don't do that, then issues. But as far as like calling this a cliffhanger, I don't know if y'all know what the definition of a cliffhanger is, but like I don't find this a cliffhanger. I think it wrapped up part 1 of the story, I think, nicely. Like I said, it still has these questions that we need answered, and even more questions, but overall I wouldn't consider it a cliffhanger personally. As far as what I read the next books in the series, hard to say. I think if the second book is just about Diana and Matthew and their love for each other, I don't think I want to read that personally. That's the aspect that I did not enjoy about it. If we get less of that and then more of like the world building and like the witches' powers and heck, even like vampire stuff or poor little demons that kind of got like brushed aside, if we learn more about all of that, then I would be willing to pick it up. But like Lauren mentioned, I have easily like 100 books I want to read, and it's not
1,000. She has 1,000
yeah,
books.
easily 1,000, and it's not broaching like the first 1,000. So oops.
I mean, I kind of agree with both of you guys on the ending. I think that it wrapped up some things, but left enough open, which makes sense because it is the beginning of it. It's not like it was like a book that she wrote and then was like, I think I'll make this a trilogy. Like this was clearly a planned first part of a trilogy. Um, I also agree with Barbara that I don't think it was as cliffhanger as some people acted like it was. As far as if I think I'll read the next books in the series, I think that if you had asked me that question when I was in the middle part that I hated, I would have said, I don't even want to finish this book. So, no. But I think that after finishing it, and initially my reaction was the same as Barbara's that, as the second book, just about like them being like, oh, Matthew, I'll do anything for you, Matthew. Oh my God. But in the 1600s, then I don't care. But then Barbara and I watched the trailer for the TV series for the first season. And then we also watched the trailer for the second season because the second season is based on the second book. And that actually made me more interested to read the book because there's all these actual real life historical figures that are clearly part of a story, which shouldn't be surprising because she did that in the first book. And that makes me interested a little bit. So, like Lauren, it's on my TBR list, but also like Lauren, it's not jumping anywhere near the top.
So what you're
Maybe someday.
saying is we need to find that someone created an outline where we can skip the chapters where it's just about their relationship and get
there
to the
you
good
go.
parts. If
And just
that
read
is
the historical
yes,
fiction. I'm in.
like
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Like we get to a part where she's learning to do her magic. I want to read those chapters, and then we get
Yeah.
back to like their issues and their love life. I'd be like, next. So
Yep.
if there's an
Yep.
outline out there, hook us up.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that for sure.
That's terrible of me to say, but here we are.
Guys, we made it to the end of another podcast. Let's
I'm
talk about our
curious
individual
to know
scores.
Michael's individual score and how he's going to justify it when at the beginning he said he would not recommend this book to anybody, but then he
I can have personal feelings about it. You know what? I'll talk about this when I talk about my individual score. But Barbara's first. So Barbara, what did you give?
I gave it a 7. And I feel like I've given plenty of reasons why that is. So I gave it a solid 7, you know.
I also gave it a 7 because by the end of the book, I liked it. I did say earlier, as Lauren just pointed out, that I wouldn't recommend the book, and I think that that's exclusively because I hated the book in the middle. Like, if we had been doing this podcast and talking about like our at the halfway point, my rating would have been like a 2 out of 10.
Wouldn't it be interesting if we start recording like the beginning, our little thoughts first, the middle, and then the end, just to see how like roller coastery it is? I would be curious about that because like my
That would have
stuff,
been really interesting for this one.
yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Oh, excuse me. I feel like the middle one, I'd be like, I hate this so much.
But I ended up giving this one a 7 because I did like the story at the end. I really just didn't like the middle part that was all about the, you know, Diana bowing down to Matthew and him saying, "But no, Diana, I won't have sex with you." Like it was dumb.
Mind you, they literally meet and fall in love, and she literally almost kills herself so he doesn't die within 2 weeks. Like this
Yep.
is not a long like moment
long
here.
book.
Like I think overall they actually like know each other for about a month. And it's like, what? You're willing to give up your life to a vampire, mind you, who's lived thousands of years, who's lived a very plentiful life. But okay, sure, go off, queen.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Anyway, Lauren, what did you give the book?
I gave it a 7. I was gonna give it a 6.5, but I wanted to make the math easy for Michael.
I love how we all. I think this is the first time that we all agreed on a score. Is it not?
Ever. First time ever. I think ever. I'm gonna look now.
Been at least one other time, but yes, I gave it a 7. Like Barbara said, for reasons that I've already talked about. I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the characters. There were problematic aspects for sure, but I thought her writing was really good. So yeah.
Yeah. So originally I was going to give it a lower score, but I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Like I didn't have a problem with her writing style at all. Actually, I quite enjoyed, like, I think it's one of those things where it's like, if I have a problem with the writing style, I notice it right away and it freaking irks me the whole rest of the book. Versus if I don't have a problem with the writing style, it's one of those things that's like, oh, this is a nice little cherry on top type thing where you just don't notice. And I have to, like, bring myself and be like, you know what? Like, generally speaking, like, she's very knowledgeable. I think it's well written in that regard. Like it's not hard to read, except when she starts really getting into like the philosophy aspects, and sometimes I'd kind of like quickly read over that. But like in general, like it's well written. Like I don't have complaints about that, and so I can't just be like a 5 because it's not that bad of a book.
Right. And honestly, for it being her first book, too,
that's what I'm saying. Like when I realized that this was her first novel, I was shocked. Yeah, I thought that she had been writing for years, and this was just the first one of a new series for her. I was my gases was flabbered because this does not read like a first novel to me. Like there are some. Don't get me wrong. I have read some novels that I freaking love, but I was just like, yeah, you can tell this is a first novel. Like this needs to be polished a little bit better.
Also, Lauren has better memory than we do, Barbara. There are so many books that we've given all 3
Oh
the same
no,
score.
really?
There's been at least a handful of times.
Just a couple of them. Legends and Lattes, we all gave it a 9.
Oh.
Under the Whispering Door, all 8s.
Oh. This is the first one of the season.
Matter, also all 8s. It is the first one this season, but it's also because this is the first one Lauren's been here for.
Oh, dang. Well, oh, no. Yeah, it still counts.
Anyway, we have once again reached the end of a podcast. Make sure you're following Badass Literature for free in your favorite podcast app. Give us a rating and leave us a review if they let you. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. Our handle is at BadassLitPod on Instagram and Facebook. Barbara?
Don't we have a Goodreads account that you want to plug into?
It's the same handle on Goodreads. Badass Lit Pod. Now, Barbara, bring us home.
Yes, I will bring us home. Let's go around town. Have feedback about today's episode. You can contact us by writing to badassliteraturesociety@gmail.com. You can also send us a DM or leave a comment on any of our social media handles that Michael just conveniently mentioned 2 seconds ago.
As always, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next month. My name is Michael.
I'm Barbara.
I'm Lauren.
Bye.
Don't let that butter hit you in the face. I'm adding this canon now.
That was a great